The most exciting thing that has happened for me is the production-linked incentive schemes, right? Because it signals a turn in India's industrial policy, which I have not seen for, well, I would say ever, right? Maybe I'm not old enough. The thing is, the government is paying companies to grow, right? So if you cross a certain growth threshold, I will give you an incentive. The second is the government is choosing champions, right? So the government is saying that if I have 100 rupees, if earlier the government would decide I'm not going to choose between companies. If there are 100 companies, I have 100 rupees, everyone gets 1 rupee each. Who am I to select? But now the government has realized that if you give 1 rupee incentive to everyone, no one is going to move anything, right? They will just pocket it. So that classic theory of activation energy in a chemical reaction, what they're starting to do is I will give 10 rupees each to 10 companies. And only if you jump above this level, right? And so the companies are trying to jump. And more interestingly, if there are 20 companies who apply, I will select the 10 biggest companies. These are changes in India's industrial policy, which are, I think, the excitement I see in the industry is absolutely transformative. I mean, I'm seeing people excited about investing, and this, in our calculation, and as you know, we've written about this in our reports, that FY27 impact of this would be 1.7% of GDP, which is a 0.3 to 0.5% addition to annual growth. It's a very substantial number. And I think the momentum can start coming in FY22 itself. Right? Because while the rest of the schemes, so out of 13 schemes, only mobile phones runs in FY22, but the investment, so what something very interesting happened in the last 2 months, that a lot of the equipment shifting from China to India for mobile handsets was happening by air. Right? And I was shocked at how can you be shifting equipment by air? But then I thought about it. I asked my colleagues in Taiwan as well. They were also surprised. But when I thought about it, if your revenue clock is starting 1st of April and you're getting 6% of incremental revenues, even if it costs $1 million, $2 million extra to shift by air, you might as well save those days and do it. And I think the same is going to happen, because if the revenue clock for the other 12 sectors starts FY23, the companies that are shortlisted for those schemes are going to be in a hurry to do capex in FY22, because they will want to meet their revenue target. And so I think the prospects for growth are actually quite bright, medium term.
Since you've detailed PLI, let me ask you a counter question there, although I don't want to go back to the financial conditions part as well. So you're convinced that the sectors that have been picked are the right sectors, and you think that there would be sort of uptake across these sectors on the PLI schemes that have been announced, or do you think that there are 3 or 4 sectors which are the right ones to target and will lead sort of the success of this scheme?
Yeah, no, I think that's, see, the people who have generally argued against an interventionist industrial policy. So it has been mostly in the last 30 years a laissez-faire one, right? I mean, the government will just retreat and will not intervene. Is that, of course, there will be errors of commission also, right? That you would choose sectors which don't have much of an option. So, for example, and now it could be our ignorance. We are not able to understand, see, on the API side of the pharmaceuticals, for which the last deadline was 30th November, we can understand self-sufficiency is a driver. But on the formulation side, where again 150 billion rupees has been allocated over 5 years, we're not able to understand what will it catalyze, because Indian firms are already pretty large. They have research budgets of $200, $300 million a year. They're already pretty big in slow release, extended release drugs, biosimilars. Similarly in telecom equipment, right? So telecom hardware equipment is itself, the industry itself, going through churn. A larger and larger part of telecom investment, wireless telecom investment, is happening in software now. So we are not able to understand, maybe it's our ignorance, that how, because if the hardware industry itself is not clear how large it will be in 5 years, why will anyone put new capex to target growth and production increase? But at the same time, so there are sectors where we are not able to see the upside. But there are sectors like autos, textiles, food processing, and of course mobiles, or even medical equipment, where we think that the opportunity, and if the schemes are designed well, in mobiles, I think the momentum is clearly visible because it's in implementation. In others, we are still awaiting details. So in these, the opportunity size is significant. And I think the choice of sectors is also quite meaningful.